Okay, and let me go to audio. Okay, testing, testing. My gosh, I got. Okay, am I live?
Yes.
Oh, okay, Shelly, do you mind turning that off? Thank you. Oh, thank you, Shelly. Okay, we're going to start over again. Are you ready? Let's go. Random fact of the day is earrings. Do you have to wear nickel earrings? Do you look for nickel free because it bothers you? If you do, the water bottles that are stainless steel have trace amounts of nickel in the stainless steel. It might be one of those tiny layers that is individual to you that will help you get feeling better. That's the very first thing we started when I did not have audio, but now I do. Our goal for today is to help you walk away understanding the best thing to soak in for you. The number one question I get here at Living the Good Life Naturally is, Kristen, why can I not utilize magnesium soak in plastic? It comes in plastic, right? That can be confusing for someone who's just quick scrolling social media. And the answer is this: I have found over the last 20 plus years of watching women's journeys, and men and children too, I focus on women. I have watched and I have tested and I have taken notes and I have documented what helps people achieve magnesium cell saturation the most efficiently and the fastest way. And we did thermal imaging testing. We do not soak in plastic. So let me say that up front. If you can't stay on the whole live and you need to get off, we don't soak in plastic. It stops the uptake. You're not soaking in the plastic that it comes in. And this plastic was specifically chosen to be non-leaching and the, best option when it comes to shipping magnesium to you. Ideally, I would ship it in glass, but glass would up the price by about $15, making the magnesium out of many families' reach to be able to do that. And my goal is to give you the best product at the best pricing possible. And so I opted for this plastic. It is non-leaching. So you're not getting particulates from the plastic in the water that you soak in. That's been tested and verified. What happened was, back when I worked one-on-one in my home in Hyde Park, Utah, and I was so excited. I get people like, oh, come in, soak in magnesium. Tell me what you feel. Tell me your experience. And I'd set them up and they'd soak their feet. And oh, they would be so relaxed and want to take some home. And so they would take it home. And then I would get a telephone call 2 or 3 weeks later. And they would say, Kristen, I'm not getting the benefit that I was experiencing in your office. This doesn't work. Well, devastation, because I want people having a product that makes a difference. That's everything I'm all about. And my husband said, start asking them questions. I thought maybe it was the water. I thought maybe it was the pH of the water. I thought maybe it was the temperature of the water. I just went to so many different things. As I asked all of these people questions and got their feedback, I started graphing it and realized everyone who was not experiencing the benefits of soaking and utilizing magnesium soak from Living the Good Life Naturally was soaking in plastic. But why? Why plastic? I talked to scientists, I talked to doctors, I talked to chemical engineers. I wanted to understand, to give people a concrete, searched out, studied question of why we do not soak in plastic utilizing magnesium soak to achieve cell saturation. Here is what I did find though. When we were doing some testing, we were using thermal imaging, and it's incredible to watch the magnesium. And I have a sneeze coming. Oh my goodness. Starting with no sound, and now I'm about to sneeze. I'm going to turn away from my mic. Maybe if I look at the light. No. Does that make it worse or better? Hold on. Oh, yeah, you get that tickle. Let me take some water and see if it'll go away. Oh my goodness. We were doing thermal imaging testing, and it is incredible, absolutely incredible to watch the magnesium go through the lymph in your body. When I saw that happening, I thought, oh, it's the warmth of the water. So another thing that we tested was if we put people in cold water, did we still see the magnesium? Was that really magnesium going up through their body? Were we actually watching the lymph move the magnesium up, or was it just the warmth of the water? Even in cold water, you watch the magnesium be utilized through your feet and the pumping action of your feet and go up through your body. Well, we put people in plastic, and we put the same water. We had 3 women lined up. We put the same water, a 1/4 cup of magnesium, because the goal is we soak 20 to 45 minutes, 1/4 cup of magnesium. And we put that in a plastic bowl, all 3 of them, and did thermal image testing, and nothing moved up. Nothing. We waited 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Usually, the other testing that we had done, between 60 and 90 seconds, that magnesium was showing movement in the body. Some people at 30 seconds, but by 90 seconds, everyone had, unless they were soaking in plastic. In that molded plastic bowl, there was never movement of the magnesium being pumped up through the body. Okay, and so I was like, what can I do to determine what is happening here? I took the same 3 women, the same water, the same magnesium that they had been soaking in, and I moved it over to glass Pyrex dishes, all 3 of them. Within 30, and I think it was 70, but within 90 seconds, all 3 of them had started showing the magnesium moving up through their lymph. I took the same water, the same magnesium they'd been soaking in, nothing was changed. We put it back in plastic. We put their feet back in the exact same. The only thing we changed was we put it back into a plastic bowl. Now remember, they had started in plastic, no action after 5 minutes. They had moved to a Pyrex casserole dish, and magnesium started pumping within 90 seconds for all 3 of them. Put them back in plastic, nothing happened. They sat there the full 20 minutes. Nothing happened. I want to be able to tell you the scientific reason behind. I can't. I have never found anyone that can explain to me the exact science why, but I do know this: it happens 100% of the time. And so the next step I took in testing, because when I give an answer to someone, I've been on that journey, and our family lost finances, we lost our home, we lost everything during my health crash. And I know what it's like to purchase something and then have it not work, and purchase something else and have it not work. And I wanted to give credible answers that had data behind it. What was the most efficient way to soak in magnesium and achieve cell saturation, which has been shown to activate your stored vitamin D into active vitamin D. And that's where your immune system turns on and becomes active and healthier and more viable, as everything depends on that first step. I had everyone test their blood, their magnesium red blood cell blood work numbers. And you can go to, and Shelly will, if she doesn't already have it popped up, Shelly can pop this up in the comments, where I go to have my blood work tested, not for my serum, but for my magnesium red blood cell. And we tested where their levels were. And then we had them soak in plastic for a 30-day challenge. They soaked in plastic for 30 days using the magnesium a minimum of 80% of the time. They could miss a couple of days, but they couldn't miss more than 20%, or we didn't use them and they were dropped from what we were looking at. In the plastic, everyone followed through for me, which I was so grateful. No one's, and then we retested them after 30 days. No one's magnesium red blood cell numbers moved. No one's. Then we took the same women. We already had their testing numbers, and we had them soak in glass with their magnesium soak, 20 minutes, 30-day challenge again, and all of them showed improvement. Every single one of them. I can't tell you why. I know after charting and graphing and asking questions of thousands of clients over the last 20 plus years, when you soak in a plastic bowl, it stops the uptake of magnesium soak through your body. Many times people want to use there's like a little spa and it bubbles and you put your feet in. Would be a great option, but not if you're wanting to utilize the 1/4 cup of magnesium that you just put in. The reason that the plastic that it comes in does not affect it is you're not soaking your feet in this plastic. Now, the next question that comes in is, what about my bathtub? Your bathtub, so then we put swimsuits on people and we got them in different bathtubs. Your bathtub is not the same molded plastic as the bowl, and they have different finishes. At the time, copper bathtubs were not something, when we did this testing, copper bathtubs were not something that we tested, but we did all sorts of different types, old cast iron tubs, the really comfy ones that fit your back really well, newer tubs. We did all sorts of finishes. It works. If you keep your feet in the water in the spray-on type of finish that is in a plastic tub, that did not change. The magnesium moved through the body. It is the molded plastic bowl. Something happens. I don't know what. I can't tell you. I do know it happens 100% of the time. And it makes it so that your body is not utilizing the full benefits of magnesium. And so you can soak in a bathtub. Now, copper and magnesium do not play well together. If you have a beautiful copper tub, send me a picture of your bathroom. I bet it's amazing. But we don't soak in copper because it will take away from the beauty of that copper. And soaking your feet in a bowl and soaking in the bathtub are equally efficient when it comes to achieving cell saturation. I thought for sure that when you soaked in the bathtub, because more of your body was in the tub and exposed to the magnesium, that would move my numbers faster. But it doesn't. We've done testing on that and tested people. How quickly did their numbers move soaking in a glass Pyrex versus soaking in the bathtub? And it's the same. So make it work for you. If you have a copper tub, we're not putting magnesium in that copper tub. Soak in a bowl, soak your feet. A lot of times when I'm FaceTiming grandbabies or I'm working on email or I'm watching TV or a movie or something, I've got my feet soaking. I just stack it with other functions. So I'm not just sitting there for 20 minutes going, oh, I need to be doing other things. I stack functions and I take that magnesium and I put it into other things that I'm doing in my life so that I'm creating the space and the time to utilize magnesium in all the things that I want to do throughout the day, to connect with people and love on them and meet my own personal goals. Now, the next question is that usually comes in is, where do I get this? I'm a thrifter. I love to thrift. Like, it's a treasure hunt to me. And I get a little dopamine hit. I love thrifting. I love the whole process of it. I love things being reused so they're not wasted. My mom was incredible at making do with what she had, and I love the whole process of thrifting. You can find Pyrex bowls at the thrift store, like almost all the time. Easy, simple to find, very inexpensive. Some people will say, but Kristen, my husband has a size 13 foot, or my foot is a size, they'll say my foot's a size 11, it won't fit. You can go on Amazon and purchase a new Pyrex that is bigger if you have very, very large feet. You can also use a glass mixing bowl. Many people have glass mixing bowls in their home. You can use a crock pot insert. Now, every time I say that, there's conversation below. Some crock pot inserts have been known to off-gas some things that you might not want to take up. Please do your own research on that and make the best decision for you. Many people love the crock pot insert because it's readily available, it's very inexpensive, and it helps insulate and keep the water warmer so that their feet don't get cold, which brings up a whole nother topic. That in the wintertime, when you're in a cold climate, there's lots of different ways that people have come up with to keep their water warmer. For me, I keep a insulated pitcher. It's like this, but a great big pitcher of really, really warm water. And you don't have to have, when you're soaking in a container, just your feet. Let me put it this way. Can you see that? I hope that shows up on camera. When you're soaking, you do not need to fill the water all the way up. In fact, it becomes like hard to carry and very sloshy. Your feet just need to make contact with the bowl with water on the bottom. So all of the bottom of your feet needs to make contact with the water. It doesn't have to be around your ankles. It doesn't have to cover the top of your feet. It's the bottom of your feet that are acting as a pump, pulling the magnesium up through your body. And I start in the wintertime when it's cold and I know my water is going to get cold and I want to be comfortable throughout the time I soak. I take my soaking water. It starts out warm. Temperature does not matter when it comes to magnesium. Soak, and I put just a little bit, and then as the water gets cold, I take my little pitcher and I pour more in throughout. That way, I'm comfortable when I'm soaking in magnesium. Now, a couple years ago, we had another problem that came up. A lot of women were soaking and their numbers weren't moving. And there's a couple things that this can be. And this is where I say it's your body, your journey, your way. Leave no stone unturned. Leave no stone unturned. And when you pick up a stone, and if it works or it doesn't work, your reaction to that determines how long it will take you to get healthy. Is what I was doing when I was sick is I would try something. I'd get super excited. I'd research it. I'd get the dopamine hit. I'd be so excited to try it. And then my perception would be that it didn't work. And so I'd get really frustrated and I'd give up and I'd wait a while before I tried something else. And that process just kept playing itself out, that pattern. When we play that pattern, when we come back to, quote, restart being healthy, when we come back, our mind and our body is keeping score. And our stick gets bigger and bigger the more that we stop, start. Because remember, your body just wants everything to be the same, exactly the same. Homeostasis. It doesn't want you getting sicker. It doesn't want you getting better. Homeostasis, keep you safe. That's the goal. We have to break through that to create better health, because it's better health is different than what you're experiencing today. Just a little bit better every day. And so when you come back after something not working and you've been frustrated, you have a stick that your mental goes, yeah, remember, nothing works for you. Yeah, right. You've tried so many things. And that can play in the background of your head. And then you've got this big stick, and creating help feels heavy and hard because of all the things you've tried. But if you can back up and you can take a little shift in your thinking, and oh, this would be a whole fun class to do it together. But if you take a little shift in your thinking, you pick up the stone, it doesn't work, and then you go, oh man, I am so glad I don't have to figure this out again. I know it doesn't work. Put it over there, go on to the next thing. Wasn't a waste of time. You know exactly how your body reacted to that. It doesn't work. Leave no stone unturned. You're not going to turn over every stone and have it work perfectly. Life's just not like that, babe. It's just not going to happen that way. You turn that stone over, and if it doesn't work, you put it in the pile of, man, I'm grateful that I know that that doesn't work for me. It worked for my aunt, it worked for my grandma, but it doesn't work for me. We each have core needs. Remember, we've talked about, and I don't have my salt here, we've talked about the magnesium morning trifecta, walking in that early morning sunshine and receiving those violet rays in the first, all the different colors that come in the first 2 hours, soaking in magnesium, and that walking, reducing inflammation, keeping our voltage strong, magnesium, potassium, and pretend I've got a little bag of good salt here. Now, your needs of salt and potassium will be different from my needs. I tend to have lower blood pressure. I can do a lot more salt than most people because it raises that blood pressure. Depending on your journey, your medications that you're on might change the potassium that you can do. How your kidneys are functioning might change how much potassium you can do. You have to adjust that to you. Healthy women have strong filters, and they take the education that they've learned and they take action, because researching about health doesn't get you healthy. It gives you a dopamine hit. You feel like you put hours into creating health, but you haven't. Taking action. That's why at the end of all of, well, I usually will remember at the end, I'll say, what's your action piece? Share with me your action piece. And my goal in that question is to help you discover, what am I going to do after hanging out for 30 minutes with this woman? What am I going to do to take action to create optimal health? The other thing that it does is healthy women are connected women, and it creates community. The very thing that you're taking action on might be the very thing that someone else needed to see. And so in you sharing, you've helped connect that information, and someone else needed it. And in that process, we're connecting together and we're lifting each other. And there are, oh, look, Shelly's already popped those up, the links to that bag of salt. When you soak, don't soak in plastic. It comes in plastic, but you're not soaking in the plastic bottle. And this is the best plastic that I could find that does not leach with the magnesium. And the magnesium has an indefinite shelf life. It can freeze. It can be, it can sit in a hot, we tested it in my mom's St. George garage in the summertime, and then tested to make sure, the bottle had even kind of changed shapes. It got so hot. The magnesium is still good, has an indefinite shelf life. We're not soaking in the plastic that it comes in. We're soaking in a bathtub, or we're soaking in a bowl. We can thrift these. We can go to big box stores. We can find them on Amazon. There are lots of different places. Stoneware, you can soak in. We need to be careful that it doesn't have cracks, and sometimes the finish can change that. And so I stick with glass. This is my go-to when I'm soaking. I keep one under my desk with a towel, with my magnesium, so that I can soak anytime that I'm needing to. A lot of times people will ask if they can soak in enamelware. Enamelware is beautiful. I have a piece of my grandmother's enamelware. But here's the problem with enamelware, in that it can get little chips. And at the core of enamelware, is aluminum, and we don't want to uptake that aluminum. And if yours has a chip or a hairline crack, the magnesium is interacting with that aluminum. And I don't want to soak in something that I have a possibility of uptaking aluminum. So for me, enamelware is not a good fit. Another question that comes up is, what about stainless steel? And this is where there's even some more confusion, because in the beginning of my company, I would say, oh yes, stainless steel is a great option. I was soaking in, again, one of my grandmother's old school, heavy duty, high quality stainless steel. And it was fine and it works great. But people will go out and purchase, for example, maybe a dog drinking dish, a big dog dish, and it'll be, I don't know, $9, $10, $12. And they'll be like, great, I've got stainless steel. That's not, well, it's a different type of stainless steel than what I was soaking in my grandmother's pan. And is what they do is they take aluminum and they do a spray coat on it of a stainless steel, and they call that stainless steel. But is what will happen is the magnesium will eat at that spray coat. They don't play well together. Magnesium is a salt. Magnesium chloride. Chloride is a salt. And so eventually that stainless steel will start to pit and to rust. And it needs to be, if you're opting, I personally am not soaking in those anymore. It was so high maintenance to make sure it was completely rinsed and completely dried and wiped out. And so I just stick with my glass bowl because I'm never going to have issues from the glass bowl. Oh, Elizabeth has a great question. And she said, any temperature of water okay? Absolutely. Yes, any temperature of water is okay. I soak in room temperature water for my feet, a lovely hydrogen-rich water that I add the magnesium to. I've been on a bunny path, rabbit hole of hydrogen water. And I have done minimal testing, not extensive. I haven't done thermal imaging on hydrogen water yet, but I have done other beginning preliminary testing on hydrogen water. And so far, it's a thumbs up. But please understand, Elizabeth, I have not done thermal imaging yet. I am going to rent and have video work done of another thermal imaging so that I can test some other options that have come up since I did the last testing of thermal imaging. And hydrogen water will be one of the first that I use to see what's happening while we soak in the hydrogen water. Great. Yeah. When you soak in magnesium, you want optimal, I want optimal benefits. I want the maximum benefits for minimum input. Everything I do, I'm looking at how can I put the least amount of energy into that and get the max amount of benefits. I do that with my supplements. I do that with my food. I look at that like everything that I do. And when you're soaking, one of the things that we found in testing the water after people soaked, we tested how much magnesium is left in that water. So number one, we found it didn't work to have a second person soak in magnesium because the first person is utilizing that magnesium in their body. And we also found in 20 minutes, most people had utilized about 80% of the magnesium soak that they were using. And in 45 minutes, most people had utilized about 98% of the magnesium. My goal when I soak is 20 minutes. I'm good at 80%. Now, if I have longer, absolutely, I'll soak longer. A lot of people will think, oh, if I soak for 2 hours, I'm getting more. And you can soak for 2 hours. There's nothing wrong with soaking for 2 hours. but in 20 minutes, you're utilizing 80% of that quarter cup of magnesium. And in 45 minutes, you're utilizing about 98% of that magnesium. And that was across the board for people. There was tiny bits of variances as we tested that, but very little. So I feel very confident saying, and I have to admit, it does make me laugh when I will see other websites say that, because that's my data and my work. And I think that's how we can spread information that's incorrect. And I've seen some websites lately say some things that I'm like, oh, no, you weren't there in that original study, and that's not accurate. And I want to make sure that what I'm sharing with people is working across the board. Now, everything's not going to work for every person, obviously. And if you are extremely sick and you've got your individual journey, you maybe can't start with a quarter cup of magnesium. I think Shelley was the one who started this, low and slow. That's how you start things, low and slow, to make sure it's a good fit for you. Remember, magnesium shines the light on what your body needs. And if you're soaking in magnesium and you're low in potassium, this is my favorite potassium, Harmless Harvest. I have loved them from the beginning of time, and their quality is just always there. No matter when I test it, it's always there. The taste and the flavor of this is so yummy. And it's a great way to get a very quick uptake of potassium. If you're very low in potassium, we know you're low in magnesium, because you don't get low potassium without your magnesium going low first. So we know that you're low. You start soaking in magnesium, the master mineral, magnesium soak from Living the Good Life Naturally, the master mineral that your body needs to jumpstart healing. You start soaking in magnesium, and your body goes, oh my, and remember, you might be low in potassium. Your body drops the potassium to grab the master mineral of magnesium. Well, potassium is needed. And when it drops that potassium, soaking in magnesium can almost feel like, oh, made me sicker. But it's actually shining the light. Hey, your body needs more potassium, so it can hold the potassium and hold the magnesium together. Voltage. Anytime that you're not, well, I'm not a doctor, not diagnosing, not prescribing. For me, anytime that anything is not working in my body, I go back to the basics. Voltage. Where is my magnesium? Where is my potassium? And imagine a bag of salt in the middle. Magnesium, potassium, and salt create voltage for the cell. When the cell has voltage, when we go to the micro and make sure that it's on, the macro starts to heal. Does it heal everything? Absolutely not. It does create a strong foundation. I would love to know, what is your action item? What was that piece of information, that powerful piece of information that you are taking away from our time together today? And what action will you be taking? Share in the comments below. I would love to know. Sherry just shared. Thank you so much, Sherry. Oh, Emma, Idaho. I just tried to pick up. I missed it, but I was thrifting, and there was a big chandelier that a lady was selling, and she sold it right before I got there. But I was just in Idaho. She ordered the Harmless Harvest coconut water. Hooray, isn't it? And then she said, delicious. I just can't tell you the taste of this. Oops, let me turn it this way. The taste of this one compared to others. It just is the best option we have in a shelf-stable coconut. Now, ideally, we'd all be in Hawaii, well, just drinking coconut water from the coconut. When you're not in Hawaii doing it that way, this is the next best option. Oh, Kelly, I love that. Get the potassium. And remember, potassium is very individual for people, how much you can take. And the more stress that your body is under, the more potassium you need. And when you're taking potassium, you've got to make sure your medications, your kidneys, or any other function in your body. I can take potassium. The hard thing about potassium is when they test your potassium in blood work, because we can buy into the fact that blood work is perfect. It's not. It's not. It's just a window with lots of variances. When they put the tourniquet around your arms, that will change what your potassium levels are in your blood work. And I like to track my potassium. How much potassium am I getting? My favorite places are coconut water, white beans, avocados. Everyone goes to bananas, but there are so many, and bananas do have about 400 milligrams of potassium. My goal is that 4,700 milligrams and sometimes more. I don't always hit that. Remember, I am a living example that imperfect action still creates optimal health, because I don't always hit that 4,700. When your body has the potassium it needs, everything works more efficiently. And when you combine the two, they work synergistically together. Okay, Kathy, just received your magnesium bundle. Can I tell you, that was a wild sale. And I'm so glad that so many of you were able to get some at that price. And the bundle BOGO is over. Yes, it is over. I try to reuse my soaking magnesium water till the next day to save. This is a great question that's coming in from Instagram, JK Hardy. And there's a couple things there that it could be. And so I want to cover both of those. Number one, you can absolutely set your magnesium, put it in the water, set it up the night before, and soak the next morning. No problem. I've tested that. It doesn't decrease the amount that you're getting in your body. But if you've soaked in the magnesium and then you're using the same water to get more magnesium, you're getting insignificant amounts. Now, the next question that has come up before, if you're soaking in that magnesium water and then you're adding more magnesium to it the next morning, I have two thoughts. Number one, it takes about 24 hours for your body to utilize the magnesium that you soaked in. I tend to not soak. If I soaked at night, I don't soak the next morning, because that's only 12 hours and I'm not getting the full benefit of that second soak. So I like to wait at least 24 hours. But again, imperfect action creates optimal health. You're still getting benefit. If you like doing that, do it. If you're asking, can I add more magnesium to that water and still utilize it? Yes, absolutely. Personally, I don't care to do that. I don't know, I like to start fresh. Many people do that, and you can add more magnesium. Is what can happen though, and I want to talk to those people who are bath people. And that is what can happen when you're in the bathtub. And once a week, I do an everything shower, and it is long and it is drawn out and it is glorious. And I am using lots of different things to scrub my body and exfoliate and nourish and do all those things to my skin, because our skin is our largest organ and we need to take care of it. That acid mantle on our skin. And usually on Sundays, I do an everything shower. I soak in magnesium also, but I don't use all of the products that I use before I utilize the magnesium. The more products you have on your body, it slightly decreases the uptake of magnesium. For example, if you are using, I don't have it. Somebody came and I gave her the bottle of magnesium lotion. If you're using magnesium lotion, it's a much slower uptake because of the oils in the magnesium or in the magnesium lotion. And so the oils slow down the uptake. So think of the different things that you use. When I soak in magnesium, I still do my everything shower, but the first step of my everything bath, is magnesium for 20 minutes. And then I add the other layers. Now, you would still get benefit. I just like to optimize it. And imperfect action creates optimal health. Studies have shown, and the work that I've done has shown, that it does decrease slightly the uptake of magnesium the more things you're putting in. And I use this beautiful, well, it's the jojoba oil that we use in the muscle cream. Oh, it's such a good oil. We use it in this. And so is what I do is I go to my daughter and say, hey, fill up my bottle. I need some just straight jojoba. And jojoba oil is the closest to your skin in its molecular structure, and it's just glorious. It's actually not an oil, but we call it an oil, but technically it's not. Anyway, I love just at the very end putting jojoba oil everywhere. I use it in my hair for a hair oil, and that does slow down the benefits of the magnesium. So I do that at the end after I've soaked for 20 minutes. Thrifts. Oh, Mary, I love this. To thrift some glass pans and sign up for the lab class when it's available. Little secret. Shelly drove in to work in office today, and the goal is to finish that class and get all of the setup for it done. So it's coming. It's coming. Mary has been on some other calls that I've talked about my blood work class. It's the only class I'll be teaching in 2025. And we're going to go over a complete blood count, the CBC, very basic blood work test. And I'm going to share with you the things that I've learned over 20 years, most of it from those veteran nurses that are walking powerhouses of information. They're in the trenches, seeing the patterns, seeing what works, and making those connections. And I want to share with you what I've learned, not from a doctor's perspective, not a doctor, not diagnosing, just the things that I've learned that you can pick up from a CBC that will fine tune and tell you this is where you need to start. And I'm excited to teach that class. So it's coming. And to thrift some pans. I love that. Andra says she's going to order some coconut water. And I want to look over here on Instagram. Is anyone else frozen? Oh, I'm not sure, JK. I hope not. Okay, here's the last question I'm going to take. N. Semper says, my sleep has become an issue in spite of a nightly dose of oral magnesium. Will soaking help regulate my sleep, as in staying asleep without waking midway? Okay, yes and no. It depends on where your melatonin levels are. And please know, I am not a doctor, not prescribing, not diagnosing. I'm sharing some things that I've learned, laying it at your feet for you to make the best decision. It is none of my business to tell you what to do. This is what I've learned. Some people will soak in magnesium and sleep happens the very first night and changes for them forevermore. Some people will soak in magnesium and not feel that until the end of their 30-day challenge or later. And it depends on how much melatonin your body's collecting. Magnesium and melatonin work together. If you have enough melatonin and you soak in magnesium, the synergy happens and sleep occurs, deep, restorative, restful sleep. And that's why I created the magnesium morning trifecta, where you're walking in the early morning sunshine. You're getting those rays of color that only happen the first 2 hours that the sun comes out, because that builds your melatonin. You collect your melatonin in the morning, and that determines how much melatonin you have that night. I am someone that has to shut down the light spectrum I get at night so that my sleep is optimal. So I wear a pair of true dark glasses because that cuts out. In fact, I make sure the dishes are all done and all my little routines are done because it cuts out so much spectrum of color. You can't see everything. Cuts out the junk light. For me, that has made a huge difference with my sleep, and I'm able to stay asleep, restorative sleep, and wake up refreshed. And so, how much magnesium can help you sleep depends on how much melatonin magnesium can connect to put you into that restorative sleep. If you're not sleeping well, the magnesium morning trifecta has been shown to help reduce inflammation, increase quality of sleep, increase the sensitivity of the cells and the cell wall so it can communicate better. So it's walking in the early morning sunshine. 30 to 60 minutes is ideal, but imperfect action creates optimal health. And then soaking in magnesium so that your body has the building tools of what it needs to help get that restorative deep sleep that night. I loved hanging out with you. Thank you for sharing your action items with me. That makes my heart sing to know that after you and I hung out together, that you have something that you can directly take action on. Because when you wake up feeling good, invariably, the first thing you do is start lifting the people around you, and lifting from a place of fullness and feeling good is so much better than trying to lift other people when you're depleted. That just puts us in that never ending cycle of not feeling good enough. And we need more women waking up, feeling good, and making those changes with their family, with the people they love, in their community, in our country. It makes a difference. Your energy and how you tap into it makes a difference for the people that you show up with. And that magnesium morning trifecta is my favorite way to start to build synergy, that energy just naturally ebbs from you. You don't have to push it. You don't have to start it. It just naturally ebbs from you because your body has those building blocks for what it needs. Have the best day. Mondays, oh, I love them. A beautiful restart, a refresh for our week. And I will see you on Wednesday, same time, 9 Mountain Standard Time. And so if you're not Mountain Standard, figure out those different things. If you want alerts, if you want transcripts of these calls, did you know we are just getting so on top of it here at Living the Good Life Naturally that now there's a transcript and bullet points and action items that go out around the calls that I do. If you don't have time to join me, or you can't be here live, or you can't stay for the whole thing, but you can quickly scan what we talked about and choose your action items from there. And those go out to my email newsletter list, the Good Journal. You can sign up on my website, and I bet Shelly's already done it. She just posted the link where you can sign and join me. And that's the first place that my master blood work class is going to go to. The cost of that class will be $97, and we will spend 90 minutes going over patterns and connections on a CBC complete blood work panel, complete blood count panel, and talk about the patterns and the relationships and what you can learn and the insights for your body and your individual journey. It was delightful being with you today. Bye. It's not turning off. Oh, there we go. There we go. Now